This is 2025, and we are kicking off this new year with season 10 of this podcast. I cannot believe that this has been going on for 5 years. That's absolutely batty to me. I thought that instead of what I usually do at the first episode of every season is I go right into a particular wellness topic or I have an interview with a guest. Instead, I thought I would introduce or reintroduce myself to you and take a little bit of a reflection, especially since this is coinciding with the new year, and even more so, especially since I've been on an extended hiatus. I was planning on coming back at the beginning of December, but as things happen, and all of a sudden, 1 month turns into two, and now it's the beginning of January instead. So I wanted to reflect a little bit about what first brought me to this. If you all remember, back in 2020 during lockdown, some of us were a little isolated and not entirely sure what to do with ourselves. I had lost some business and some income, and I also lost my place of existence because I ended up uprooting my life and moving in with my mom, who at the time was dealing with some medical issues. So I spent the better part of an entire year with her. And I needed something to keep my mind engaged and keep myself busy. And so I figured what better way to do all of that than to marry my two specialties. I had a background in communication and I had a new career as a registered dietitian. And I figured I love food, I love nutrition, I love teaching people, I love media. So let's put all that together. And in the beginning, this podcast started off more about a food journey. So the origin story, food memories, early food memories, cooking in the kitchen, traditional settings, hanging out with their family and friends during different kinds of occasions, and when they first learned to cook their recipes, etc. And I loved that format. I love that format. But what I really wanted to do eventually was to streamline the topics along with what I was doing across my social media platforms and having more of a weekly wellness theme because, as you can imagine, juggling a lot of things can be kind of overwhelming. And as we exited out of lockdown and back into some more normalcy and back into more work and other tasks started building up, this became a little bit of a problem for me. So I wanted to make sure I was being a little bit more cohesive. And I also thought it was just kind of neat to have similar themes run across a variety of different platforms, depending on how you, the audience member, likes to learn, whether it's visually watching a webinar, scrolling through really short captions on Instagram, or checking out the podcast episodes either in audio or video version. We didn't start moving to video, I think, until maybe a couple of years ago. And I think in season 6 is when I decided to transition from the stories of food and culture and move more along the lines of health and wellness topics instead. And so I thought I'd also take a moment to introduce or reintroduce myself to you. So if we have never met, my name is Dina D'Alessandro. I am a registered dietitian nutritionist. This is a second career for me. I have a background in project management and in business and communication, and all of that stuff has brought me to where I am today. So I really still love doing this. What I have promised myself for 2025 is to really hone in and be a little bit more intentional of how I'm expending my energy, how I'm placing my efforts in things. And I really am just so done with social media, at least in its kind of, more broader form across all of the platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, uh, Twitter, now X, Threads. I mean, the list goes on and on. And if you are a content creator or if you just enjoy being on social media, you might realize how overwhelming it can get. And also, as a content creator, as somebody who is trying to get a message across and trying to establish a framework and an audience to build, it's incredibly time consuming to have to be on all the time. So I figured, let me just focus on one thing, and I'm going to transition everything into YouTube. That's a long form video format. It is very much more searchable and easier to find as far as random people on the internet finding me there versus having to kind of force or point people in direction of my other social media platforms. But I could still whittle down the content and cross-purpose it or recycle it into other formats if I wanted to. So I still have my blog posts, and those weekly themes tie into the weekly themes that you'll hear or see on this podcast. I'm still planning on interviewing guests because I can't be doing this all the time by myself. And I really enjoy talking to other people and gaining and gathering insight. So if you have been a long time follower, or if you are just now discovering us here, you'll see that most of the conversations are revolving around someone else's life and story and experience. And for the most part, these are all health and wellness professionals, but sometimes I have some random people I meet on the internet who have a fantastic story that is somewhat health and wellness related that I think might be cool to listen to and kind of break away a little bit from that upper level, professional type of discussion that we have. I also, so as part of what I do in my paid jobs, I also am an adjunct lecturer at Lehman College in the Bronx in New York City, part of the City University of New York schools. And so I teach undergraduate and graduate nutrition sciences in the classroom there on campus pretty much every year round. And I'm also the campus dietitian at the Student Health Center. So I do a lot of work with students. One of the cool things about working with people at Lehman College, though, is that the median age is about 27, if I remember correctly. So I'm not working with people straight out of high school. I do have a wide variety of students who are also second careers, who are going into school for the very first time, who are looking to go into the dietetics profession and are maybe navigating that path in the health and wellness world, the profession, the industry. And so some of the conversations that I have on this podcast and on the YouTube channel are also geared towards that as well. So I try to combine a lot of different things, not just my background in communication and marrying it with my skill set and my current career in nutrition and dietetics, but also coming at it from either supporting the healthcare professional to create and advocate for the value of that interdisciplinary network, that team, and also to empower you, the individual listener, because whatever you do as a job or in your personal life, you are still a human. And you may also have chronic conditions that you're managing or working with your family or friends who are managing their own chronic conditions. So I'm really trying to make sure that I'm giving you as much information as possible in a very wide array of topics. I don't really specialize in any one thing. That's why I like picking these weekly wellness topics to talk a little bit about whatever the awareness theme is of that particular week and give you an overview of what you need to know. So whether it's the symptoms and the signs and the misinformation or disinformation that comes along with some of these topics, and also treatment plans and things that you might need to know of how to manage your condition if you are newly diagnosed in something or been told you're at risk for something, so that when you go to your doctor's office, you feel really well prepared. And also, with all due respect, because we've talked about this a million times in some of the episodes in the past, that the generalists, the primary care physicians, nurse practitioners, they do not have the in-depth knowledge that the specialists do. So as a dietitian, I am a specialist. As a cardiologist, that person is a specialist. So it really does behoove you as the patient, and also it benefits the professional healthcare provider to work with a team. You can't be doing everything on your own, and you're also not necessarily trained to do everything on your own. So this is why I love for patients to say, please refer me to a dietitian and do not talk to me about food if you are not qualified or credentialed to do so, because you could be doing more harm than good, even if you are a doctor. Yes. And also, as the healthcare provider, it really helps establish a network of collaboration so that we're really doing everything we can with our mission of supporting our patient population. So with that said, I figured let me also just share with you a couple of things. Number one, I hope that what you are planning on, or what you have been getting out of listening or being a follower or a viewer, if you're watching this on YouTube, of this podcast show, that you're gaining that information. You're feeling like you have a little bit more understanding under your belt, and you're able to navigate the world in which you live, whether you are a patient, general population person in the healthcare world, a student, an intern, et cetera, who's just trying to figure out what to do or trying to build a career for yourself, because there's a wide variety of professionals that we have on here who talk about their jobs, which is really cool and how they got into that. So that's on your end. On my end, what I'm hoping that I get out of this from you and also from myself is to live and learn and expand and educate and inform and entertain and do as much as I can to provide accessible information to everyone. So obviously you can listen to this wherever you are, all over the world, whether or not you have money. This is a freebie, right? You can just download or upload or click onto your podcast platform and off you go, or watch this on YouTube and access this for free. I also do these monthly wellness webinars where we pick a topic specific to that month, and we do free webinars as well. So if you are interested in working with me in another way outside of this, I do nutrition counseling where you can work with me depending on the state, depending on your insurance, or collaborating with me if you are also a professional of any kind, or if you want to be a guest on the podcast. I'm happy to learn more about you and see if we're a good fit so I can interview you and have you on here to share your story and your experience to the outside world. I'd love to grow this platform, because I think if I'm really being intentional of where I'm putting my energies into the YouTube channel and of course the corresponding podcast show, that I think I'll be doing a service, a justice to the Dish with Dina brand, which just officially got trademarked last year in 2024. I'm very happy to say that. It's an official registered trademark as a brand name, Dish with Dina. So help me expand, help me grow, share. Don't be a passive listener. I mean, listen, if you hate certain things about the channel or episodes, I really just, you rather reach out to me and say, I didn't dig that. Or if you want me to improve in any way, you can click on any of the links, the myriad links that I have in all of the places where you can find me online, on my website, on my blog posts, in the episode notes, on the YouTube channel, where you can click and you can give me some feedback about that stuff. And again, there's other links that you can see there as well. You can register for the webinars. You can click and see if we are able to work with each other and I can help be your dietitian and work in a little bit more individualized setting. Or find me on things like LinkedIn if you want to partner up. Leave a review. Share these things that you find on here with people that you think might be interested in it. That's really the thing, right? Like, a lot of people tend to be very vocal if things aren't going their way, like they ate at a restaurant and they hated the food there. They're very quick to jump onto Google Maps or Yelp and leave a nasty review. But if you love something, that would be great to talk about too. Get on the horn, get on the internet, click on things, leave stars, reviews, and feedback, because that's how we grow, and that's how we, especially the smaller creators like myself, that's how we can grow and establish a reach a larger audience. So that's kind of what I'm trying to manifest for 2025. I'm putting it out there. I'm asking you, whoever's listening to this right now, how this resonates with you. If it's not your gig or your jam and you think someone else might like it, then pass it along to them. If you do like it and you want to be more involved, reach out to me to see how else we can work or interact or engage in some way, shape, or form with whatever you're finding on the internet within the Dish with Dina universe. And on my end, I'll keep learning and providing you with free or low cost, accessible resources and information to help you empower yourself to advocate for working with a dietitian or learning more of how to manage your own chronic condition so that you're not confused about what you're getting into. You're not afraid to learn a little bit more about what the management of a condition entails, of how to speak with your wide variety of healthcare professionals in your interdisciplinary team, if that is something that is of interest to you. So with that, my friends, thank you so much for welcoming into this new year, season 10 of the Dish with Dina podcast. I am so grateful to all of you, and I'm really excited to see what the future entails for all of us.